Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about sentence stems. Sentence stems are basically just kind of prompts, sentence prompts for students to be able to answer questions orally, but I also use them in writing. I use them in large group when we had a whole group discussion, and once the students got familiar with using them, I use them in small group. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use them. You can use them for assessments, quick checks for understanding, exit tickets, really anything. So these are really great. We first got introduced to these sentence stems, I think last year during a regional PD, and I loved it at first, but all they gave us was like a little piece of paper with some examples of sentence stems. I didn't really know how to utilize them, so it was really fun and really interesting to be able to take that back to the classroom and kind of put my own spin on how I used them. And the students actually really responded very well to them because you can adjust them to each student's level of thinking, and they can put their own creativity into it with their answers. So they really liked the flexibility of it. I really liked the flexibility of it, of how you can use it in so many different settings, so many different subjects, and for so many different things. So what I did with the sentence stems that I had on a piece of paper, at first I was just going to cut the piece of paper up and put them on the whiteboard or under the projector when we were having discussion, but then I thought, no, I kind of want to have them on the board all the time. That way, when we're not even talking specifically about these sentence stems, the students can still have them as a reference to use, to be able to either speak in a clear full sentence or to be able to write with these sentence stems. So I wanted to have them on the board all the time for them. And then if I was just using one specific one, I would clear the board and leave just the one up. And I'll explain that later. So all I did, this is going to be backwards to you guys, this writing. So I'll read them as I'm talking about them, but all I did was I used those sentence strip papers that you can get at Lakeshore or whatever, and I just cut them and wrote them on here. Sorry, hold on. If I could redo it, I'd probably laminate them so that they, because we did utilize these in small groups and I had students actually picking them up and utilizing them, so I would probably laminate these. This one is kind of laminated, but the back is like paper, so make sure these are durable and they last a long time because you really will use them a lot. I used them almost every day and in almost every subject last year. So all I did was cut up the sentence strips and I wrote them on here in permanent marker. You could even use the dry erase ones if you're changing them all the time, because then you can erase and you can have students create their own. I would do that for higher grades, but maybe not lower grades. So again, this was in second grade, but you can, these are good for every grade level, every DOK level, every learning style. I really like these a lot. And then I put a magnet on the back because, like I said, I had mine on the board all the time for students to be able to refer to. And I liked to be able to move them around. If I was talking, if I asked a question and I wanted a right away answer, I would just quick pull one of these sentence stems and put it in the middle of the board so that students knew that I wanted proof. If I said, "Where did you find that?" I would pull this really quick and they knew to answer with this sentence stem. So how I use them in whole group, I think I used whole group a lot with Journeys because, as we know, Journeys is the reading curriculum that's very low DOK level questioning. I loved a lot of the Journeys. I loved the story of the week. I loved the leveled readers, but as we know, Journeys is very low DOK, so I use these sentence stems to beef it up and to make that level of questioning higher for the students. So for whole group, we would read the story of the week together, and then I would ask the questions from Journeys and use these sentence stems. An example is, this proves, I can infer because I would use these in the whole group and have students answer that way. I liked using the talking chips in whole group. I don't know if you guys have used the talking chips a lot. I know that Ashley does, so go to her because she's an expert on it. But what I did for the talking chips, if for those of you that don't know, are a way for students to give you their input and take accountability for their say, because you can visually see all of the students who has answered and who hasn't answered or put their input in. So all I did for the talking chips was I used the little counting chips, the foam yellow on one side and red on the other side from the Envision kits, and I gave everyone one chip or one little foam thing, and I had them all turn theirs to red and put it right in front of them. Red means they have not talked yet. And then I would prompt the students with a question. They would have all their sentence stems on the board so that they could choose how to answer the question, which sentence stem to use. And if a student had something to say, instead of raising their hand or shouting out, I would have them turn their chip from red to yellow. That means they had something to say. And then I would call on them based on who I saw turning theirs over first, or we were in a circle already, so we would go clockwise or counterclockwise. Sometimes they changed it up. And once they said their input, they could, if they used the sentence stem, which was part of my my observation for them, if they used the sentence strip correctly and they gave their input, I had them put their talking chip in the middle. And then I just had a checklist of all their names, and I would just check off who gave me their answers, so that I could later turn that into a gradebook assignment. And it was really quick. And then those students who didn't have any input, I know some students were really nervous to use the talking chips at first, but whoever, at the end of the whole group discussion, whoever still had a red chip in front of them, I either pulled them in a small group and asked if they understood what was being asked, or I had them give me their answer in a writing piece, because some of them preferred to do that. So that's where that differentiation comes in and really helped out, because I still got everyone's input just in a different way. So that's how I did that for journeys, but you can use these sentence stems in every subject. So an example is, that's something I used in math a lot. Now I know, another thing we used in math a lot. I know this because this one was great for students who in math just knew the answer right away. Well, how do you know this? I know this because, and then you can either show me on the board, or you can show me in writing, you can show me with pictures, however you wanted to show me. So another good way for differentiation, another good way for you to be able to see how the students know the answer. And these sentence stems that I have are kind of more geared toward reading, but I did use them in math, and you can obviously create your own that are more specific toward math. And then every time you change your subject that you're teaching, you could just switch out the questions on the board. You could have a student, oh, it's math time, I need to get the red sentence stems and put them on the board now. So just however it would work best in your classroom. Definitely in science, and now that we're moving toward this STEAM, definitely would use this in science after you've done a STEM project or something and you're talking in your small groups. These would be great to use. I did use these in small groups, by the way. Let me go back to reading. Sorry, I'm all over the place. But when I had the leveled readers, I created sentence stems for each group, and then I had a leader in each group kind of stopping after every page of the leveled reader and using these sentence stems to ask their group members questions. And they really, really liked that. So that was implemented after we had a lot of practice with this in whole group. But they really liked doing it in the small group. What else? Like I said, these sentence stems that I made were just examples that were given to us at the PD, but you can definitely find a lot of them on Teachers Pay Teachers, making up your own with the questions that are already in the book for Journeys or for Envision, and just changing them for your lesson or for your levels of DOK. You can definitely use them in foundations. I know this because how do you know something's a vowel? How do you know something's a consonant? How do you know it's a compound word? That's probably an example is, give me an example of a vowel, give me an example of a glued sound. Even before reading, so some sentence stems you can use before reading, some you can use during reading, some you can use after reading, based on visual cues. Even just taking a picture walk, this is for like the really lower level of kindergarten first, just taking a picture walk through a book, and then based on visual cues, what do I think, let me make a prediction, what do I think the book is going to be about? Based on visual cues, why do I think this person is sad in the book? Things like that. So just changing it for your grade level, changing it for the OK levels, changing it for subject, for the book you're reading, for the genre of book you're reading. They're really, really flexible and really, really good to utilize. So if you have any other questions about them, I would definitely love to answer them for you. Once I'm back, I can model it for you. And yeah, just give you some ideas of how to use them in your class. So let me know if you need any help with that. Thank you.